We have Dr. Shachi Mathur over here. She's a clinical psychologist who has finished her PhD in clinical psychology, and she has been working here in IIT for the past 12 years, but has been practicing since 2005. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
How is this profession going, and how are you dealing with students in IIT, and what problems are they bringing up to you, like usually?
As a student counselor, this profession is a challenging one because youth is a very important generation for us, where youth focus has to be totally problem oriented, solving problems and issues. So while we have our youth all sorted with everything, you people are bright and you've done so much in your life and you've learned it the hard way.
Yes, yes.
But even then, there are small little issues that you people can face in IIT.
So, which type of issues do people come here and talk to you about, like apart from academics, or is academics the most prime thing that people come and talk here about?
Students will have a lot of varied issues. It can be emotional issues, it can be relationship issues, it can be academic issues, it can be issues pertaining to anxiety, stress, maybe depression. In the initial years, what months, what actually disturbs people is the transition from a home environment into a university
Freshers.
environment. Yes, for freshers. And our focus is a lot on freshers because they go through a lot of adjustment crisis. They have to live with roommates who they are not used to, so we have to be very very focused on their needs. And otherwise, as students, whoever has any sort of problem, whether it is a relationship or peer pressure or some sort of an addiction issue, so they are all here and free to come
So you're
anytime.
saying mostly freshers end up here seeking advice on emotional grounds, or
No, it is very, very general. It can be freshers, it can be first year, second year, third year, fourth
okay.
year,
So you
anyone.
can't give a specific number of who comes more.
Yes, yes. There are a lot of students who come from different classes and even PhD students.
Yeah, and there's this question whether whatever the counselor and the student speaks is it maintained like confidentially, or is like, or do people, like, are you supposed to reveal it to anyone else, or do you keep it with yourself?
See,
Or
usually there is a absolute confidentiality clause that we as
okay,
counselors have to and should maintain.
okay,
And that is what is done. However, sometimes there are some disciplinary cases where if somebody has been found with a misconduct or somebody has been found with some illegal substances in the room, which has been
yeah,
happening in the past, that we are very worried about the drug problem in
yeah, yes,
IIT.
yes.
And so the primary concern is when such students are being referred from the authorities down to the counselors. At that time, we don't have much say in the matter. We have to give the
Okay.
report verbatim as to whatever the student has revealed to us.
Okay, so you're
Otherwise,
just because it's illegal, you're forced to listen to whatever they're saying.
no, we are not forced.
Okay.
But when there's a disciplinary case, or if there is somebody who's been caught in action which is wrong,
Okay.
and it comes from authorities, because it's a punishable thing, because you have either done something which is not right, and you're not following the correct path. So that's the time when those students are referred to a counseling center.
Okay.
And when such students are referred to the counseling center, in case there's a report required by the authorities or the hostel wardens or somebody, we have to give it. However, if students come on their own with certain issues, those are absolutely confidential cases. So
So,
there nothing is revealed at all.
does this not right things by students include the issues relating to LGBT things, LGBT people in the campus itself, or that is separate from this?
No, no. People with all sort of issues come here.
Okay, so those things are not revealed outside.
No,
No,
no.
you don't see that as a
Not at
wrong
all.
thing. You just
No.
fine
See, as counselors, we do not have the right
to judge
to
anyone.
judge anyone. Whether you're doing something wrong, that is also a choice you have made. As counselors, we are not friends, we are not colleagues. What we are is we just provide scientific and adequate choices that are available for you. In case you sometimes don't see certain choices that are available. So our idea is to create abundance of choices, to minimize anxiety, to bring up your productivity and creativity, thereby creating a better ability to deal with a lot of stressors, and whether it's personal, whether it's academic. So we just explore on possible opportunities.
So you're basically giving them a few set of few set of options. You're analyzing each option, telling them these will be the consequences if you do this.
What we do is we give options, we give them choices. Choices is something which is very individual, and we have a right to choose what is right and wrong for us. We as counselors can only tell things where we can't preach. We can't say this is a yes or a no, but yes, exploring the risk factors, and if that risk is high enough risk for a particular person, may not be a high enough risk for another person. So it is very individual based as well. So creating abundance of opportunities and available options on the basis of which we empower somebody to take their own decisions. We don't decide.
So, is there any particular issue which you personally feel was very tough for you to handle, or any particular set of issues which you feel it's really tough for the students to handle, especially the freshers or the people who come in new?
See, freshers, the basic problem is getting adjusted to this environment. And all said and done, professional colleges have a lot of stress, whether it is academic pressure, whether it's social pressure, whether it is performance pressure, whether there is competition pressure. So there are a lot of factors that are associated, and you can't really demarcate that it is pertaining only to freshers or others as well or not. But yes, freshers, what we emphasize in is how to manage time better. We tell them the potential opportunities that are there. We tell them to regulate their sleep, because sleeping is something that goes for a
beneficial.
toss
Yes.
for most of our students, because it's natural that a lot of us land up doing a lot of activities in the night, late night, whether it's sometimes practices, whether it is academic, sometimes it's projects. But the whole idea is that the time has to be 6 to 7 hours, which is very, very crucial for anybody to deal with any stressor. So when you're dealing with stress, your sleeping has to be right, your eating has to be right, and you need to learn the balance.
But that's a big problem. Like, people don't eat properly. People like
Yes.
usually sleep in the morning and
Yes.
throughout the night. Is it fine? Like, if you sleep in the morning late? Fine.
Ideally, it's not.
Okay.
It's not ideally.
Fine. So you're advising them to do whatever is possible.
See, in the morning, if you're going to sleep, you'll be missing classes. So,
Okay.
as counselors, we would recommend that you might as well sleep on time, so that you can wake up early, have your breakfast, and go to your classes. Because anywhere, if your attendance is short, then it can go against you. So the whole idea is that if you attend classes, if you're regular with just attending classes, and you're able to pick up whatever is happening in class, you'll also have a lesser burden as far as your academics is concerned.
Yeah. There's another question about how do both the genders come to you equally, or is it the guys coming more and the girls not opening up less? Like, is there any problem related to the gender of a person coming talking to you?
No.
Because girls generally are
See-
stereotyped to be very living in a closed bubble.
See, girls and boys come almost equally,
Okay.
but sometimes boys do have a problem sharing issues out with female counselors.
You're telling the boys have okay, fine. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Fine.
Although most of them are quite open to the fact, but there have been some instances where they have showed a little bit of discomfort that is there any male counselor, and then we don't have a male counselor as of now. We have been trying to work on somebody to come in, and most likely will be coming in. However, we do have a psychiatrist who comes every Tuesdays to the IIT hospital. So with that and with the male counsel, these are the only innovation. But otherwise, I think girls versus boys ratio is almost the same.
So So it's not a problem.
Yeah, it's not.
Like if there's any extremely worst case where you have to, like it doesn't come to you through the authorities itself, it comes to you through the student. So what do you take in those situations?
It depends what is it that we call as a worst case.
Okay, like if you take if a student comes up and confesses to you about his drug use for past so many months,
Yeah.
will you notify that to the authorities or
No.
will you be handling it yourself?
No. So what we do is we have a protocol that we follow.
Okay.
When somebody comes up, it means that person needs help. So our whole idea is not to get him to feel uncomfortable about the fact that their name is being disclosed to authorities, because authorities can't do anything, we can't do anything, because choice is yours. If somebody wants to continue to take on drugs, we can't stop them. But yes,
Okay.
if they've come for help, so we give them a series of activities to do, keep a very close watch as far as their drug intake is concerned. We don't tell them to stop it immediately. We ask them to do a very systematic process, that is, try to cut it down to about, say, if you are a regular user, weekly user, what we would advise is, instead of a weekly usage, try to cut it down to an alternate day. And if you can't manage an alternate day, then the quantity that you take in, it should be limited, that if you are used to taking a certain amount of quantity, reduce it to half
Okay.
rather than take the whole quantity. So you can't, it's a sort of a detoxification that has to be done. So if you immediately ask somebody to stop it, there are withdrawal symptoms which are very harmful. It could be anger outbursts, it can be a lot of academic pressure, it can lead to a lot of social isolation, it can have a lot of negative impact in terms of a psychological condition is concerned. So such cases are not referred to authorities because A, it's not needed. B, the students are given a fair chance that they are wanting help. So we as counselors have to tell them, we often give them opportunities where they would say that there are certain centers, de-addiction clinics in Delhi. So we provide them with the necessary numbers and what happens, so that if somebody is not comfortable being in IIT, being treated for something, you can always go outside IIT. So we try to provide that kind of help as well.
So if there's any case regarding a person coming and telling to you that he or she has been personally harmed or bullied by someone else,
Yes.
so how do you take care of that? Do you counsel only the person who's coming in, who's counsel only the victim, or you also make sure that
No,
the
we
intruders also
can. We do not. We are not policing anybody.
Okay.
So we are also, because we are not children. So we do need to fend for ourselves. So we have to make ourselves strong enough to stand up against any bullying.
Yes.
Bullying is an absolute no, but we choose to be bullied, and we choose how to stop being bullied. So how to stop yourself from being bullied is what our primary focus is. It takes a lot of effort because there's a lot of post-traumatic stress there. Bullying does lead you to a few nightmares depending upon the magnitude of the bullying that has occurred. In case it's not been too strong and it's mild, it's easier to rectify because you need to build up on the confidence. The bully will not change himself or herself.
So you're not going to contact the bully in any
No, we won't do that because that is not our job. The bully will continue to behave the way he or she wants to. Had they wanted to bring about a change, they would have probably come and asked for help. So they think there's nothing wrong. So then the person who requires help is how we're going to tell them to stand up against a bully.
Yeah. Usually, there's this stereotype attached to coming to a counselor that you're not fine, that you're mentally unstable, you're this weak person, you're emotionally weak person. So how does a student deal with all of this to himself? These are questions which the student asks himself: Am I weak? Am I this weak that I have the need to go to a counselor and I'm not able to handle these situations? How do you think the student is able to answer himself in these cases? In any case.
See, I think any student who walks up into the counseling center is a very courageous person.
Okay, calling him a courageous person, fine. Okay.
Reason is, in India, counseling is a myth.
Yes.
because we are a very close knit family system, and we usually have been living in families where there are grandparents around, there are a lot of siblings around, cousins, and you have immense ways to share your problems with. So we are quite empowered to deal with our own problems. But what we don't understand is that now, as in how we are becoming more nuclear,
Huh.
the kind of support that you've been looking for is lesser. The cousins may be in another city, so the person who you would like to share a lot of things with is not available or around. So, in such a situation, a counseling process is important. It has to be looked at as a very scientific process. It's what people think is surprising, that they think that counseling से बात करने के लिए होती है. या काउंसलर क्या करता है, इफ यू आस्क अ क्वेश्चन टू समबडी जैसे एडवाइस देते हैं.
So this is what a preconceived notion
Yes,
of what
this is a
counseling is.
preconceived notion that a counselor advises, and which is what they need to understand. A counselor never advises.
Okay, he just opens up options of.
Counselor cannot advise, because the moment you advise, you're being judgmental.
Okay.
So you're creating abundance in opportunities and choices
Okay.
and avenues. So we just do a few scientific therapies if needed. Say if there's a behavior change required, so we will work intensively on relaxation exercises. We'll work on something called the rational emotive therapy, where we try to challenge somebody's thoughts where it's creating a stressor. Say for instance, there's a person with a neurotic disorder. Why a neurotic disorder is anybody who has anxiety beyond normal level of anxiety. And such people, we don't usually recommend immediate medication. We feel if we can work without medication through just counseling, we try to give it first priority. And with that, whenever there is a situation which is concerning anxiety, so there is a proper scientific therapy that is attached. There's no counseling, there's no talking, there is therapy. That if you have anxiety, these are the therapies that we need to follow in a protocol. This is what we plan for one session, this is what we plan for the other session. So it's very scientific.
So there's no other unnecessary stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, there have been a few programs by the SCS, like Your Dost, which is an online chatting program. Generally, what happened in that program, what happens in this program is you have to be above 18 to actually start talking to the person. If you're not above 18, you have to get a validation from your parents.
For IIT students?
Yeah, for students from IIT. You have to get a validation from your parents that you're not above 18 and you can still chat. So, how do you expect these programs to reach large number of people if you're going to bring in parents to the scenario? Because most of the problems, including personally me, I don't want my parents to know. I want it to be between me or my friends or whoever I'm talking to. So in such cases, when the parents are involved or when the parents are forcefully brought into the scene, so do you think it's fine? Or
see, most of our IIT students are not below 18.
That's
there are very few of them, and for a couple of months they would be about under 18, but most of them are. So if that's the case, then there's probably another avenue we can look into. Maybe you can go for a face-to-face counseling with your counselor in IIT Delhi. We don't have this protocol that if you come for counseling, if you're under 18, even then you're going to be counseled the same way as you are above 18.
So in any case, the parents are not notified, right?
No.
No,
not at
all. Like even if it's really extreme and
if a person is feeling very highly troubled and is consistently falling despite a lot of strenuous counseling sessions are happening. As counselors, we give a lot of freedom to a student to work on themselves so that they are being helped. But there is no good to be a counselor if you're seeing the person just slip away.
Okay.
So we are actually treading on very dangerous grounds there, because while there's a concept of trust and mistrust, we want our students to trust us. But if there's somebody who's been coming to the center for about a year but academics is not improving. We've tried to change counselors, we've tried to get them into outside counseling, if we've tried all sorts of things. Despite that, this person is not getting the adequate help and is wanting help. So that person will not want to tell the parents, but we will try to persuade them that try to do it on your own. And if you don't find the courage, you can sit in front of us and I will call your parents up, so that you feel that there is nothing being told behind your back in front of
Okay,
you.
so you're
Everything.
saying you're giving the choice to the students themselves whether to
Yeah.
take it to the parents or not.
Yes. We try to convince them, and we are fairly good in convincing them if the need arises.
Okay. Yeah, there has been this recent things happening in IIT Kharagpur where there's so much of drug use, and the management itself is not able to stop the drug use or to able to even reduce the amount of drug use. Like, if do you think there's going to be such an outburst suddenly in IIT Delhi? How will you be able to tackle it?
See, I think what is happening is drug use is not a problem for IIT only. It's a problem with the youth. It happens in medical colleges, it happens in non-medical colleges, it happens in engineering colleges. So this is something which is just there. And unfortunately, the reason for drug use is that it's been considered as a very cool thing. And often people consider the fact that having marijuana does not have any impact.
Facts, huh?
It is a harmless drug, and once in a lifetime तो हम सब try कर ही सकते हैं.
Because it's cool.
हाँ, it's cool, and then if it doesn't harm me, it's fine. But what we don't understand is that marijuana is a gateway drug. You will use it once because you want to kind of check it out and how good is it. That's again your choice. You're 18 years, you choose. But technically, it's illegal.
Yes. Huh.
So you know very well that it is illegal. Despite that, you're trying to go in for the kicks. Sometimes you just do it for the kicks. It's a risk-taking behavior. So while you're doing it, you need to understand the consequences, that it is a gateway drug, and every time something hits us, the first thing that comes to us, why is it me? It's like cancer. If somebody gets cancer, the first question comes to them is, why did it happen to me?
Yes.
So that's the same thing as marijuana use, that while many of us may land up having it and probably be perfectly fine and totally not addicted to it, some of us may not be so lucky because we may feel the need to try more intense kind of drugs. So you have to be a very, very conscious person, where the power of mind is extremely important, to understand what is it that is important, and how far are you prepared to take the risk, and are you prepared just in case you are not lucky.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are very small, thin, fine lines where technically it's illegal, so it's an absolute no. IIT campus is a drug-free zone. So we do not allow, nobody is allowed to take drugs here. Nobody is allowed to take liquor here. So there are rules that are there.
So you don't want them to cross these rules. At the same time, you want to deal with them in the ways you specify.
Yes.
And if there are a lot of people in IITs, with the general tag on IITs that if you go to IIT, because of the stress involved in so many things, you'll start feeling suicidal, or you'll start having those tendencies very slowly. Do people with suicide tendencies come here and tell them that I don't want to live, or I don't want to move on?
एक तो हमने ना suicides को हर चीज़ को लेकर academics के साथ link up कर दिया, which is not true. Because suicides is not always academic oriented. See, a lot of us, we are all the same human beings. We go through the same stressors, but some of us have better equipped in dealing with the same stress, while some of us fall weak and we are unable to deal with stress. So the easy way out is कि academic stress बहुत है, handle नहीं हो पा रहा है. But it is also your own mental makeup. Maybe by temperament you have been a depressive person, but because you were in a family environment, the issues didn't surface. They were there with immediate support given. Now suddenly you're all out in the open, your family is not around, and I think majority of our IIT students here don't have families in Delhi.
Yeah.
And how much is it that we contact our parents and day to day tell them every day कि हमने क्या किया है. A lot of time we are just avoiding even our parents' calls, maybe for our own reasons, and we're busy or we are shying or we are guilty that we are not doing exactly what they're expecting. So there could be umpteen number of reasons for that.
Okay, so what if a person? So what do you do to usually deal with these people who come up and you have therapies or you have to directly go to medication or something?
If you are suicidal, it has to be identified the level of suicide. Is
Okay.
it an ideation, which is just a thought that has occurred, or have you actually committed it?
Okay.
So when there's an ideation, it's immediately a red symbol for us that this person needs immediate help. But we can't do anything to somebody who needs that help and has attempted that and nobody has told us, or probably even that person hasn't told us.
Okay.
So then we don't have a clue as to how to help them. And sometimes what happens is when they have committed something, like they've attempted suicide, that's the time when things come to us. Either the warden comes and tells us, or it's the friends who come and tell. So that's when we actually become active, because they need very rigorous counseling and they need support. Basically, those people who are suicidal, we have to just make them understand the better side of life, and you just need them to get the confidence that somebody trusts them.
Okay.
And that provides them with a lot of comfort, and you have to give them the safe zone.
Because that's the main problem. Mostly people feel very desolated or
Yes.
in IT, like especially the freshers who come new, they don't feel like they have anyone to listen to.
Temperaments are different. Sometimes we are introverted, but we still want to mingle around, but we don't know how to mingle around. We, despite the fact that counseling center does make a lot of effort to go into hostels for counseling sessions, and we tell them about various problems and how you can approach the counselor, despite that, I would say a very small percentage of people would actually visit the center for even a trivial thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So then when they do come, then we can prevent a lot of mishaps from happening.
Or do you want to say anything? You want to talk about anything specific, matlab, apart from this? Like any specific issue which you want to discuss with the students? Any specific issue of a very particular person?
I want them to trust SCS a little more. But somewhere there isn't.
Okay.
The trust factor is not there. That's probably because of the past experiences. The court cases were the ones whose parents have been called. So there is this mistrust that SCS ne kara hai. So that certain myths that they need to get rid of also.
Okay.
To open up the doors for them to come here. Yeah.
So mistrust is something.
Mistrust is, a lot of them feel that क्या होता है एक court case होगा तो that person will not say that had happened. वो juniors आएंगे, they won't have a clue about what has happened. They just say कि वो लोग SCS ने सबको बता दिया उनको, and nobody does any groundwork ना पुराने से कोई भी नहीं करेगा, तो उनको लगेगा कि even if I have a problem I'll go, तो how will I tell them? They won't know that this person didn't come on their own. They won't know that this person was caught, hence he was asked to come to the SCS. So there are certain loopholes that need to be told.
Like on a daily basis, how many people come and talk to you? 5, 3?
See, we are 3 counselors,
Okay.
and each of us are able to easily see about 5 to 6 students a day.
Each person 5 to 6. That's nice.
Except for December and your June, July, because that's
Start.
chutti ka time. But otherwise, I think sometimes it's quite hectic. Sometimes we get to see about 10, 12 cases also per day per counselor.
Okay.
That gets varied. But
So
I
like,
around say 5, 6 students per counselor a day हो ही जाता है.
So people are coming, not that no one is coming.
हाँ, ऐसा नहीं कि people are not coming, but what your dost has done is, because we have very fixed timings.
हाँ, yeah.
9:30 to 5:30 का टाइम है, तो अगर इतने बीच में आप नहीं आए तो फिर then obviously we all have to go back wherever. So your dost is a sort of a good portal where अगर anybody who needs post 5:30 counseling, so at least there is some place they can fall on. Although we are here on call 24/7, if there's an emergency, your dost doesn't come, it's us who come here. Whether it's 2, 3, 4, any time in the night, whether it's a weekend, it's a working, it's a chutti, we still do come.
So you take it. So
Yeah.
your timings from morning to the evening, and
Yeah.
anyone comes. And the Saturdays, Sundays.
Saturdays, Sundays are off days.
So people who don't want to, or people who want to talk to someone, go on your those. Is there anything else? Other programs which SCS has come up with?
See,
Apart from your
SCS
those?
has been wanting a lot of programs with the youth in terms of we are keen to do a lot of stress management programs,
Okay.
and we have been involved with mentorship trainings as well, because we do train
Okay.
mentors how to deal with the
Yes.
students, and how you should consider each of your mentee, and we working on that. Sensitivity training is what is important, and just general awareness about the various kind of issues, possible issues, personal defeating attitudes that we can have, and which is very common in all of us, because in IIT most of us feel that suddenly IIT aa gaye to I'm not good enough, but
This feeling comes into
that
everyone. Not good
feeling
enough.
comes in, but they don't realize that because they are so good they are in IIT, and it's not the other way around. But only difference is that from wherever you all have been educated from, कोई बहुत bright student था, कोई नहीं bright था, तो there was a lot of gap there, margin between
Yes.
the bright and the slightly not bright students, or the
Yes.
dull ones. Here everybody is bright. From amongst the bright also there will be some demarcation. Not
Yes.
everybody can be
First
or second, and sometimes we become too easy also. Oh, we are in IIT now, chill करते, एक साल chill कर लेते, एक साल chill में क्या होता है, CG drop हो जाती है, then creates like a stressor.
हाँ.
First year pressures are lesser in comparison, only
Yes.
academic pressures there, even in terms of activities. You're not allowed to kind of
Do some.
actively participate. So by the time you come into the second year, first year problems are different kind. Second year is when it really hits you that I am in IIT Delhi and I have issues. That realization comes in, because there's a lot of backlog. If you've not fared very well in your CG, so that's a constant nagging factor. Secondly, if you've not been able to have a good friend circle, that becomes another stressor.
Yes.
So with your academics, this. Third, the time factor comes in, the time management issue, where if you have put yourself into various activities and studies together, it's natural that we have a burnout. So somewhere something is being compromised for something.
Okay.
So what we try to basically ensure is that maintain a balance where studies are not compromised. You may participate in 1 or 2 or 3 activities depending upon your ability. Some of us are good at multitasking, some of us are not. So everybody can't be at par. So this is something that everybody needs to understand. It's very common for all of us to trust our friends so much and senior. वो कर सकते तो मैं तो कर ही सकता. There's so much of trust. In fact, it's a beautiful relationship between a senior and junior also, because you trust them blindly without weighing too many pros and cons. So that's where certain.
And what do you think the students should maintain this mentor-mentee relationship which you were talking about? Like, you think we can get a lot of support from our mentor, and
For that, the mentors have to be constantly trained, and somebody has to be watchful even of the mentors.
okay.
See, everybody is young, even for us. Like, if we are counselors, we are also being watched by a higher authority.
Yes.
So, all of us are not perfect. There has to be somebody who's higher for us to
Okay.
keep our entire skill under check.
Yes.
So, mentors बन गए, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप perfect हो गए. हो सकता है there are certain key skills you are not possessing as a mentor. Maybe you're not available for your mentee. There could be a time factor that is there. So there has to be sensitivity training, and there needs to be a constant checking even upon your mentors, that whether they are successfully handling their mentees.
So
Because
you think these mentors are mostly handling only academic problems, or they do handle emotional
I
stuff
think
also?
they're handling emotional issues as well.
Okay.
In fact, many a time some mentors have got their mentees with their mentees' consent if they've not been able to handle personal issues.
Okay, so they'll come to you.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the ending now. So what do you think what do you think you should tell to the students of generally, not only students of IT, all the students generally, to tackle any issue which they face? Like, if any issue, no matter how big it is or how small it is, what steps they should take to overcome that particular issue and do whatever they want in the end?
First and foremost, I think every youth needs to understand that you are an all encompassing person. You
Okay.
need nobody. You have to trust yourself, believe in yourself, love yourself, most importantly, and have faith in yourself. Because if you can take care of your love for yourself, your respect for yourself, there'll never be a time where you will stray away. You'll always be following your path, you'll be happier, you'll deal with issues better, and you don't need any support except for trust in yourself.
I think
Most
trust in
important.
ourselves is the
Yes.
main motto of.
Trust and confidence. Jahan in do mein se anything goes
Okay.
haywire, that's where an imbalance happens.
Okay. And you are always there to help, right? If there's any imbalance, like set the balance correctly.
When we are always there for you, whenever there is a help
Hmm.
required, we'll always be there. And for us, most important thing is your mental, physical and emotional self has to be of prime importance. Academics can always come its way, but if you're physically, mentally and emotionally strong and happy, your academics will never suffer.
You're
So
saying these things have to be taken care of so the other parts are fine.
yes, absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am. And